everyone, I'm Liz Burrell and welcome to the Big Green Egg Grilling Show. Each week we bring you something new in the world of grilling, smoking, roasting, or baking, along with tips, tricks, and of course, great cooking segments. During each show, we'll learn about different ways to flavor or season your cooks. We'll show you new accessories and how best to use them, and answer some of the questions we get from our fans on various social media channels or our email mailbag@biggreenegg.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to start off by answering a few questions that came in after last week's show. This one comes from Steve from Charlotte, and he asked, is it better to soak or not soak chips and or chunks? So this is actually a really perfect question because today we're using some of our Western cedar wood planks, and we are going to soak those. Those have to be soaked if you're going to cook with them. They're more flammable than your chunks or your chips. When you're using chunks or chips, it's better to soak your chunks for a longer cook. For your chips, it's not necessary. You can if you want to, but you know, at the end of the day, it's still going to be the same cook. Slower cook, don't need to soak them. So our next question comes from Marley in Kansas. Is there a benefit to having a cast iron or a grill grate? So they're both a little bit different. You've got your normal grill grate that you can cook steaks, vegetables, whatever you want on. The major difference is that the cast iron is seasoned like a cast iron skillet. So you're going to get harder grill lines on your steaks or your pork chops or your chicken or your vegetables, and it's going to hold the flavor a little bit more than a normal grill grate would. You do have to take care of it like a cast iron skillet though, and make sure that it's oiled and has heat and is kept inside so that it does not rust. That's a few from the mailbag, so keep the questions and comments coming in, and every week we'll get to a couple of them during the show. Now let's get outside and move on to today's recipe. So today's recipe is my cedar planked honey glazed salmon, and we're going to start out with an entire side of salmon, and we're going to go over how to trim this, check it for bones. We're also going to do my butter lemon asparagus recipe. We're not using any kind of accessories inside the egg today. We're going full on direct at 400 degrees. We're going to be using our cedar planks, Western cedar planks. They are soaking in water and white wine right now. We've been doing that for 30 minutes. You need to make sure that you soak your planks because otherwise they're going to burn up before your food actually gets cooked. So let's start with our beautiful salmon here. We have an entire side of salmon. It's a pretty big guy, and we're gonna run our hand over and check for bones. Doesn't seem like we have any. Now, if you do have a bone, just get some tweezers or whatever you can find to pull them out. Usually they do a pretty good job of pulling those out. So we're gonna cut our tail off first, because the tail is thinner than the rest of our salmon, and it works a little bit harder. That's the hardest working muscle in the body. So it's going to be a little bit tougher than our fillets here. You can use this for, you know, a salmon dip or just grill it as a snack and whatever you want to do to it. We don't want to waste it, but it's not good for our salmon fillets. Then we're going to pull this down and we're going to cut off our neck. Same thing with that, save it for later. And then we have our belly here that's a lot thinner than our fillet meat. So we're gonna find our seam here and we're gonna cut that off. Make sure to use a very sharp knife because we do have our scales. Now you do want skin on when you're using your cedar planks. You want it to stick and it'll just slide right off once it's cooked. So now we are going to figure out how big we want our salmon fillets. Now you can do it in smaller pieces, bigger pieces. Today I think I'm going to do about 3-inch pieces. They're beautiful. Now this one's a little bit thin on this side, so I'm going to cut a little bit of that off to make it even, and then we'll use this piece for some sort of salmon dip later. So we're going to set these aside. Now we're going to take our cedar planks and we're going to dry them out a little bit on our egg. We're going to place them face down for about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. And then once we flip them over, we're going to put our beautiful salmon on top. Now while we're waiting for that, we're going to hit our salmon with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil because we don't want this flesh to burn. It's very tender, very fragile, just as any fish is. And we're going to take our Big Green Egg citrus dill seasoning and we're going to give it a nice kind of liberal coating here. You don't need to press this in really like you would pork or steak. Like I said, it's fragile. Just make sure that it's evenly coated and sticks. Now you can put as little or as much as you like of this. So we are going to check on our planks here. Use our trusty Big Green Egg tongs. I'd say that they are pretty dry. And now we are going to place our beautiful salmon fillets, skin down, on our cedar planks. Move them over here just a little bit so we can make room for our asparagus. So these are going to cook for about 13 minutes, and then we're going to put our honey glaze on our salmon. Our honey glaze is 1/2 cup of honey, a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, lemon juice, about a tablespoon, salt and pepper to taste, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Now, you can change that recipe and do less or more depending on how much salmon you have. So for now, we are going to change our gloves and we are going to work on our asparagus here real quick. This is super simple. We've got about a 1/2 tablespoon of lemon zest, about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then we've got a 1/2 cup of butter here. Like I said, you can do more or less of this depending on how many people you're cooking for. We're going to pull our asparagus over, coat it with olive oil, once again so it doesn't burn. Season with a little pepper, a little salt. We always want to season with salt and pepper. It brings out the flavors of your food. And now we're just going to put it on the egg and let that cook. We're going to give them a turn here in a minute. Take our butter, put our lemon juice in, our lemon zest. All right, so it's time to put our lemon butter sauce on our egg, and now it's time for some tips from our experts. Okay, so while our salmon and asparagus are cooking, we'll get on to our tips from the experts for the week. We're going to talk about the rain cap. So the rain cap is something new that actually comes with our regulator. It does not go with the daisy wheel. It only goes with the new regulator. It makes you able to cook in the rain. Nothing will get inside your egg, and you don't have to take it off. Once you put it on top of your regulator, you can leave it. You can take it off if you want. It's waterproof, rust-proof, and obviously keeps the rain out of your egg. Another question I'm asked during the classes at the Big Green Egg Culinary Center is what's the difference between our egg mitts and the silicone gloves? So they're pretty similar, at least in heat. Our silicone gloves are going to withstand up to 450 degrees, and our egg mitts are going to withstand up to 475 degrees. Now, the biggest benefit to the silicone glove is that you can grab meat and pull it off the egg without ruining the integrity of your meat and without ruining your gloves. The egg mitt is made out of a woven fabric. Now, it's wonderful for pulling out your convector, putting it in, picking up the hot grates, picking up your roasting pan, picking up aluminum foil wrapped meat. But if you try to pick up meat with your egg mitts, the liquid will go through and you risk being burned by the liquid. So silicone glove for meat, egg mitt for pulling out your convector or your grill grates. So that's our tips from the experts for this week. And now let's get back to our egg and see how our salmon and our asparagus is coming along. Those were some great tips, and we're actually using our rain cap today since it has been raining outside, but it doesn't matter because it's time to look at our salmon and our asparagus. It looks great. We are going to give our asparagus a little turn here. It's getting some really nice kind of blistered color on it, which is what we want. And they're actually almost done. They cook very quickly. Give our lemon butter a little stir there. Almost finished with that. Now we are going to hit our salmon with our glaze. Make sure you give it a really nice coat. We're gonna let this caramelize for another 3 to 5 minutes or so, and then we're gonna pull it off, hit it with the glaze again, and then it's time to serve. All right, so it's time to take our asparagus off. We're gonna let our salmon keep cooking for a minute here. Pull our lemon butter sauce off. Get our beautiful asparagus, put it in this half pan here. Gonna let our salmon cook for another few minutes. It's almost done. We are gonna take some of our butter sauce, pour it directly over our asparagus, reserve a little bit for our plating, and give it a toss. It smells so good, so summery and refreshing. Just gonna let that sit here for another minute. We are ready to take our salmon off the egg. It's looking nice and brown and crispy. Very happy with how this has turned out. So we're gonna pull them off, put it directly here on the table, and we're gonna hit it with our glaze one more time, kind of let it caramelize while we let it rest for a few minutes here before we plate. Get all that nice good flavor. We're gonna start off by putting our asparagus on the plate. Get a nice couple pieces in there, make it pretty. And then we're going to take our spatula and go right above the skin, and it's gonna slide straight off the skin. Put it directly on our plate. And we're done, ready to serve. That was my cedar planked honey glazed salmon and lemon butter asparagus. Thank you for tuning in to the Grilling Show. Once again, my name is Liz Burrell. If you want online home delivery, go to biggreenegg.com and tune in next time when we've got another special surprise in store for you.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated. Grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Visit biggreenegg.com.